Holla holla, it's your boy George Billionaire. Monday. I love Mondays, and I'm sure you do too, because it's always an amazing time to get to start afresh, and do things that we need to keep on doing, which is bettering our lives and bettering our businesses and becoming a better version of yourself. So today, Hustle Hard, we're going to be talking about an amazing topic that has set apart so many people in the world. And it's a quote you've heard, it's a quote you've read, but today I'm going to explain it in a different way, because truly and very truly does fortune truly favor the brave. Only those who are brave enough, courageous enough, are the ones who actually get to realize and have the things that others don't have. Fortune favors the brave. With yours truly, George Billionaire. We've got so many episodes we've done on Hustle Hard, on School Run Diaries, where there's immense knowledge that will help to provoke, inspire, and equip you. And why do I do these videos? One may be asking. They're for you, and they're for the person you're going to share and tag these videos to those people, so that they can have a more fulfilled, better life. Because life is about what you make it, but you can't make life without knowledge and wisdom from other people. There's nobody who became great without the knowledge, advice, wisdom, counsel, mentorship from somebody else. So there's an amazing channel that's going to truly increase your level of wisdom, encourage you to be daring, encourage you to be unapologetically yourself, but most of all is going to urge you into taking action. Because if I did it, you too can also do it. If all these people we talk about on this channel, all those role models you look up to did it, they did it because they were fearless. They were brave enough to say, you know what? Why not? What if I succeed? And most of the people who always start with the what if I succeed mentality are actually the ones who then get to make it. So hey, let's go. Tune in. Make sure you click subscribe, like, comment on every single video. No video is the same. You'll always see a different version of me in all the videos. And most importantly, you will be equipped. Let's go.
Alright, it is Capital 100.4 FM Harari's Heartbeat, and as you know it, every Monday we have George Billionaire in studio talking to us about all things that make us get motivated, get on our feet, stop sleeping around, stop getting lazy. Not that sleeping around, by the way, but yeah, stop getting lazy and all of that stuff. We are talking about something interesting, but before that, so I want to understand why you went to an event and you didn't invite me, first of all, because I saw your Instagram post.
Right. Holla holla. It's your boy, George Billionaire, with none other, the one and only, Just Precious. And I am always excited to be here on the show. And one thing I love about this show is that it's always good. Like I keep saying, you meet people in the streets, wherever you are. Last week I was in South Africa at a Fridge Air Expo. I'd gotten to learn about, what's the latest technological trends in air conditioning. So I spent my whole week there. And then I came back on Friday in time for the amazing, Zimbabwe International Youth Trade Fair. Which you're saying you saw in my story.
So you're posting Vusi Tembakwayo, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba,
Wow,
Dr. Arikana, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I've always said that the best way and the secret to learning success, the secret to becoming great, is to learn from other greats, other great successful people. So whenever there's something of that magnitude, and it's a pity that maybe some people didn't know about it, but there were billboards all over, it was well advertised. Things like that you definitely must attend. And I saw great people there, some amazing business people who came in to actually support this amazing brainchild of Mavimbai, who's the founder of Masaido. And it's a great thing. It's empowering the youth to become great and understand that, and the topics spoken about. I could go on the whole day talking about them, because even I was refreshed. My mind was transformed. And that's the most important thing. So, wherever there's business, wherever there's money, wherever there's wisdom being spoken about, never be too busy spending time doing nothing. You can't teach yourself anything, So be around others who can help you to become a better person. And I can tell you, Vusi blew me away as always. You know, it was always good. I've listened to Vusi so many times. You know, we're good friends, and it's great to, you know, always know somebody, but not to understand them and take them for granted. You know, he blew the whole crowd away. So did Professor Elo Lumumba. Amazing. He came up with, you know, as Africans, we need to understand who we are, and we need to ask ourselves why are us Africans looked down upon. Same with, you know, Dr. Arikana. She came. She's an amazing woman. She spoke about, you know, empowerment, not just women empowerment, but African empowerment, and how we as people need to get away from looking down upon ourselves, you know, and also the legend, our very own, you know, he went on to speak about how us as Africans are so colonized that we think little of ourselves. You know, he always is criticizing, you know, what the Europeans think about Africans, and how we have been accustomed to now believing that we are second level. We are not, you know, at par with them. But you'll begin to see that because I attended that, I was really refreshed. As much as you may think, George knows everything, there's nobody on this planet who knows everything. There's always space to learn, because we do not know. That's why we do not have. And when you are a person who thinks you know everything, you are limiting yourself to grow. But when you get to learn, you know, amazing. There were so many deputy ministers there. It was well attended. There was diverse platforms, panel discussions, and it was great. For once, I was not on a panel, and it was great to actually learn from other people, because it's great to also be a sponge and learn. So for me, that was a highlight, and I encourage people, wherever you are, be so intentional with going to get information. And this was an amazing platform. It was, of course, there was an investment to this thing. You know, there were tickets from $7 all the way up. But kwandiri chinchakakosha muupenyu kusamira kudzidza. Ramba uri munhu uine shuviro yekuti handisati ndaziva zvese zvinoitika pasi pano. And there's no greater person to learn, especially from kune vanhu vakatoachieva, those who have succeeded and become great. So that was my weekend. It was absolutely amazing. Of course, you know, second term, there's sports. My kids are very sporty. There was rugby, there was soccer. There were so many things happening all over the place. You know, so Saturdays, if you're a parent, you definitely know you're out playing, watching rugby, watching soccer. So that was good as well. And it's good to see the competitive level of our sporting in the country. It's good to see that very healthy competitiveness from the boys, and also from the parents who are shouting and giving instructions like they even played the sport. I think one of these days we should say, can a parents team from that school please create a team, so that we can see, you know, all this amazing adrenaline rush. But it's always good to watch, and it's an amazing way to spend the weekend. So that was the weekend. But here we're back on Hustle Hard, and today I am so excited, because today is going to provoke, inspire, and most importantly, equip people. Because this thing we are talking about today is going to unlock millions and billions into your pocket if you do something with this we are going to be talking about today.
All right, so today we are talking about something very interesting. Like you said, fortune favors the brave. So I did a bit of research about what exactly it means, and I understood that it is a Latin proverb that suggests taking risks can lead to success, being bold and courageous can bring rewards, courage is key, stepping out of your comfort zone can actually lead to opportunities and growth. And then it further on says this phrase encourages people to be proactive, to take chances, and to face challenges head on. So my question is, what exactly does bravery mean to GB?
Right. Well, I love that question. Just precious. Bravery. Now, for me, bravery is being able to do whatever you want to do without fear. Now, the word that is a four-letter word, which begins with the letter F-E-A-R, called fear, is the one that has held so many people from becoming what they want to be. Fear fear is one of the greatest things that has led to many people not ever realizing their full potential. And what I encourage people to do is to get rid of their fears. Now, if you are scared of heights, you are never going to go to a place that is high, right? If you are scared of the dark, it is always going to hinder you and create a limitation in your life. There are people who are afraid of starting an enterprise, starting a business, starting something, because in their mind there is a seed of fear which was deposited by somebody else in their lives, which has hindered them from becoming brave and actually doing that thing. Some weeks ago we spoke on an amazing topic that behind the doors of your greatest fears lie your greatest treasures. So until you are brave, back to your question, to be able to knock that door down or to simply open that door, you will never know what is behind that door. I give this example all the time. I was recently in South Africa and I did a video. There are so many malls there. There are so many places where the door is closed only until you reach a certain proximity, and then it opens and then you can go through. But to many from a distance, they'll say that door is closed. And that's the exact same thing with people in life. They see something, but because of their lack of bravery, vanotyikira kure. Kuti aiwa uko
Spitting facts, oh?
uko kwakavharika hakupindike. There's an amazing story in the Bible of those sick with leprosy, right? And they were stuck and they were chucked out of the city, and they could have died outside the city. But then there was a land just a distance away. But those people were afraid to go there because they were said to be giants and this, and we will die if we even go there. But these people, because they had no option, wakangoti aiwa kusiri kufa ndekupi, why not we just go? Because if we stay here we will die. And they encouraged themselves and got bravery to go to this place. And after they amassed so much wealth, they said, you know what, we should go back and tell others that this thing that they were afraid of is actually possible. And look, we've come back because you said it's a place that we should not go, but we went there, we saw we amassed so much wealth, and we've come back to tell others that, listen, what you thought was scary, undoable, difficult, there's no money in that thing, we have gone there and we have seen there's light. So this is the thing that even here on the show, we are constantly trying to tell people that, people, please, breaking news alert, behind the doors of your greatest fears, every Monday we are telling you, you should try something with bravery and see the outcome, rather than remaining in a place where you are, where you know nothing is going to change. Because truly, those who are brave, like our topic today, will be favored and fortunes will come their way. Because truly, truly, fortune favors those who are daring, brave, courageous, those who don't say, what if it fails? But those who say, what if we succeed?
I think that was actually going to take me to my next question as to, can you actually think of a time when you took a risk and it actually led to a positive outcome? Like, what mindset do you have when you're going for something?
Wow. So I would tell you the best thing I ever did in the year 2012. So I've told my story about when I started the phone shop, it got demolished. But the best decision I ever made in my life was to go on the journey less traveled and start an enterprise called Pro Air. That's the best decision I ever made in my life, where I stood out and I said, you know what, let me just do it. Because everybody around me, similar to the biblical story about those who were sick with leprosy, there were many who said, George, it will not work. George, you are not even, George, you never went to university. You don't have the professional qualifications for this. My own father, who I love, Nicodemus, aka Samunengwa, my dad, I love him to bits. He even had a vision and a dream to say, Mwanongo, zvawada kuita izvi, waramba uchingotambira $300 iwe. Nekuti zvakuda kuita zvana entrepreneurship izvi, hazvisi zvako. Ndiani wekudzinza kwedu akamboita zvakadai zvauda kuita. So many people. But because of that sheer great determination, and at those days I had heard stories of Dr. Nigel Chanakira, Strive Masiwa, Philip Chiangwa, all these greats who had become very brave, and the reason why they now have become established household names. So for me, starting this enterprise and this business that I am now known for is one of the things that I did. And had I not started this business that I do today, imagine how many people would not know me, would not have their cars regassed, would not have their houses, their businesses air conditioned by this that I started. Now there is an income of money coming because I went the road less traveled. I decided to knock on that door of fear under all guidelines and opinions by people to say it won't work. That bravery in me made me to be resilient and say, you know what, let me just do it. And because I did it, now I'm on the other side. Now I've realized, wait a minute, just having a job is not going to be enough, because $300 to somebody listening today is not enough to meet all of those things. Because the people listening to us out there today, they have needs, they have wants, they have a lifestyle that they look up to, they have a school they want to take their children, they have a car they want to drive, they have holidays they want to travel to, they have a phone, a car they want to drive, they have things that they want. But as long as you remain on just that, you will continuously see people making it, excelling, buying latest cars, traveling the world. Because in this realm we live in, called Earth, which is physical, this simple quote that is an Italian quote you said, which says fortune favors the brave, will be exactly that. If you are going to be somebody who is fearful and is always complaining, uttering, delaying your own progress, judging others who are actually doing things that you are not doing, fortune will never know your address, and you will remain POOR, an individual who is passing off opportunities regularly, because hauskuda kuwa brave, kuwa courageous, to pursue something that can ultimately change your life, your family, your community, your country, and the world at large.
All right. So, okay, fine. The question that I want to ask is to someone that is tuning in and listening and is thinking about the statement, "Fortune favors the brave." Do you think it favors the brave in all aspects of life? Because one could be thinking maybe it's only business related, but do you think it actually favors the brave in all aspects of life?
So I'll tell you this. The people who you see written in history, or even in the Bible, or anywhere in the Guinness Book of Records, are people who went outside their comfort zone and did something that others did not do. I love celebrating our own local businessmen here in Zimbabwe. We've got the likes of Dr. Kuda Tagwire. I heard his amazing story about how he started, how he sold his house to begin an enterprise. But when you see him today, after amassing so much wealth, people don't look at the initial beginning of the sacrifices and the bravery somebody took in order to start their journey. Because just like at the end of a movie, most people see success today, but they don't rewind to the beginning to see how somebody began. And bravery was one of the very first steps that individual took when nobody else was there in order to start an enterprise. So, we've got Scott Sakupwanya, we've got Wikno Chivayo, we've got Philip Chiangwa, we've got Chamo Chiwanza, we've got so many great business people. Ken Sharp, Dr. Stephen Magolis, all these people, if you actually zoom in and look, there was an act of bravery of courageousness used at a time where it was just them and their vision. And in order for their vision to start, just like Dr. Kudatagwire did by selling his house. Same thing that Dr. Strive Masiwa did when he wanted to bring his vision of Econet into existence. That bravery and courageous to say, you know what, I love this thing so much, let me liquidate what I have to start. And that's what now, many years later, makes them look great. Because believe it or not, all these names I mentioned, whether you like them or you like them, unfortunately, your like or like of them is not going to change their financial balance. Because the simple secret they did, exactly what we're talking about today, they were brave, they were courageous. They decided it doesn't matter if people talk about me. And I say this, the moment you see people talking about you, it means you're at the top. That's why you're the topic. So it's okay to be spoken about. But people don't realize that in order for you to have become where you are now, it was a huge act of bravery. Similar to me when I started, I was told it will not work. I was told by friends, Siana Nazo, George, stay in employment. And had I listened to those same friends, who if I look back now, those friends are still at the same place that I left them. 10 plus years ago, I would have probably been like them and remained a broiler chicken and never become an ego like I am now, soaring up the clouds and having a bigger vision. I would have never been going to an air conditioning expo to learn from others. I would have remained under the JOB, which is not a very well sustaining anointing to just have a JOB. It's a path to a destination. It is not a destination. Having a job is not the final destination. We all must go through a path until then you go a road less traveled. But that road less traveled, if you are to ask all those who are now financially free, it took bravery, it took risk, it took going some months and years without having a car, sacrificing your kids being taken out of school in order for you to fulfill a vision. Things were not easy. Being ridiculed. I remember back in the day I was ridiculed for staying at the office. And people used to laugh and say, George Billionaire, anogaraba office. But you know what? In life, you have to be able to take in those bullets and say, I know where I'm going. Because your vision of where you're going is not for everybody. God gave every single person a specific task and purpose on this planet. And sometimes the most ridiculed, the most talked about people, the people you think if you murmur and complain will change their bank balance. Those are this life will be something else. But God knows that in order for this country to be blessed, He had to raise up certain entrepreneurs. And this is why you see most successful people are a blessing to many. They take kids to school. They take care of the community. They do things for multitudes of people. That's because they were specifically blessed. And the most important thing about a blessing is not for personal or family consumption. It's to be a blessing to other people. So some people will never see the true blessing of God because their mindset is shrunk on me, and consuming, and not giving back. But all this will never be amassed by an individual who thinks that where they are, their JOB is a destination. But ultimately, we are all on a trajectory and a path to go up. But only you will determine if you stay stuck where you are and become a tree on that JOB for 20, 30 years. Until, like I always say, time will tell. You get that letter to say goodbye. And imagine at that time, you will not have the bravery to start. Because now you'll be stuck, old, broke with a little bit of pension, and that is not going to be good news for somebody.
All right, so this person said, hello Precious, I want to understand something. So whenever I listen to George, I get so intrigued, but I want to know if everyone can run and start being an entrepreneur.
Amazing question, and the answer to this is clear. The person who asked this question, I can guarantee you, I'm not prophetically answering. This person is probably working somewhere. And I can guarantee you the person who asked that is not happy with their salary. And nobody is ever happy and fully happy and content with their salary alone. They also want to drive a nice car. They actually want to buy a brand new car and remove those plastic seats, go on holiday, take their kids to a good school, university, all this stuff. So to me, I love what the Bible says. It says the poor you shall always have, right? And it's your choice to remain poor. And poor, understand this, it's not an insult, right? Poor people are people who are always passing off opportunities regularly. That's the definition of poor. Poor is not a financial state. Poor is a mindset. So the poor, this question is a great question. But remember, it's a question asked by people who are fearful of what if I fail? And if you ask all greats who made it, they always had a positive mentality and an outlook to things. Because in the word of God, it goes again to say, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It also goes on to say, according to your faith, so shall it be as long as you are on earth. Saka kana uchida kufa uri mushandi, it's according to your faith. That is according to your own. But if you want to go the road less traveled, you will begin to see, wait a minute, I never knew I could do this. Being in business nearly a decade and a half now, I've met people, I've been in rooms where I could have never been. Conversations I have with people now, had I remained under the JOB, I would never be here. So to answer your question, Madame Ose, who asked, ultimately, that's a question asked by many. But those who ask this question, I can definitely guarantee that your life is going to be ordinary. We are going to definitely need a tombstone to remember your existence, because you're just going to live an ordinary, average life. But if you're going to be like some of the greats you hear in the country or around the world, those mabasa awu anutaura on their behalf, because they chose the road less traveled. And remember, my message is not about getting people unemployed and going to start businesses. Mine is to intrigue you to say, yes, you can have your JOB, but you can also start a side hustle. And when you start that side hustle and it begins to pay you more than your JOB, then resign from your JOB and do that thing. And I can tell you in a year or two, you'll be able to amass more than you selling yourself for $8, $10 a day on the current salary that you are on. And that is the key thing that people need to realize, that this life is about choices. So if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, it's okay. Remain on that JOB. But I can guarantee you one thing, with the things that you like, you will never, ever be able to get to a destination that you want with the current payslip that you have. Remember what I say all the time, you don't know how poor you are until you go to a rich man's house. And you find that a rich man is not an employee. He is somebody who was once like you, but he wanted the better life and decided to do something different. And he understood the simple term, fortune favors the brave. He chose to be brave at one point in time in his life, which is why now he is deemed and called a very rich man in this present day and time.
All right, so Elder Samanyanga says, thanks for the good lesson on fortune favors the brave. But decision to leave JOB with nothing to lean on is the bravest decision one can make, but it's not easy at all. Every 4 weeks. That is Elder Samanyanga.
You know, I love that. Thank you, Elder, for your contribution. And I say this, if you do what is easy today, which is getting a salary every 4 weeks, I can guarantee you this one thing. In 10-15 years time, your life will be hard because you chose what was easy. But when you are still young and you have nothing to lose, and it doesn't matter how old you are, because remember, being young is a mindset. If you can foresee that 10 years from now, I'm not going to be eligible to be under the job because there are many other young graduates, people coming up. And this position that you are holding on dearly to, it's only for a season. there's going to be a younger, cheaper, more effective individual. Worse off with this modern day and time, there's going to be an AI app that's going to crash all these jobs that we're so happy to have. Then you're going to understand that, hey, I should have listened to George. I should have listened on Hustle Hard to Precious and them telling me that, wait a minute, and sooner than later, your time will run out and you're going to get a rude awakening when your kids now want food on the table and you have to tell them, sorry, I was laid off at work. And I love the country of Zimbabwe, especially. So I've been to a couple of African countries, but there's no other African country which promotes entrepreneurship like Zimbabwe. None other. There are people allowed to register a company and begin to operate tomorrow without any limitations. You send a quotation and you're doing business. In other countries, there are so many hindrances for empowerment. Because as Africans, remember, we were told by our colonizers that you must go to school to get a job so you can work the rest of your life. That's what our parents did. But the times have changed. And unfortunately, our mindset hasn't. Which is why elder, because of his title, is an elder. Right? So he's from the generation before. But to the youth today, if you think a job is a solution to your problems, you are going to wait a very long time. It's now time for you to empower yourself by so many various different ways. You can empower yourself through so many things that you can make money off and actually begin this basic side hustle, this basic self-employment that ultimately in years to come, you will be saying to yourself, it's a good thing I chose to put my degree aside. Because that's happening very soon. In fact, it's happening right now. Most people employed are not employed according to their university degree. They're employed because that's the only job available. But if you actually follow and are brave enough to say, this is what I want to do, it may be hard, but I tell you, the hardest roads lead to the best views. But the easiest roads, everybody is on that road. There's nothing unique or different. Submitting a tender is hard. That's why people don't do it. But those who win tenders will tell you, I did not sleep for a week making sure I submitted this. And the rewards are far great. Such is it with starting your own enterprise, your own business. The rewards are nice after 5-10 years when you begin to see the return on investment of all those nights, all those days, all those no's. Now, when you compare yourself to your friends, you now see the best decision I ever did was to be brave and not to listen to the opinions of people and actually go on the road less traveled. So, Elder, I hope that answers your question, and I know that you are nodding your head saying, yeah, let me just do it.
Yeah, so we are 2 minutes away from the news, and you didn't mention your name, but that's a good way to go, George. People really need to be motivated so that they will see the light. Imagine the effort you put in working for someone, putting it towards building your own legacy. You didn't mention your name, but that's what someone said. So this is the last question as we conclude. It's a minute to the news time. Is bravery always rewarded, and are there situations where caution is wiser?
I would say to people out there, especially as we round up, without being brave, you will never realize your full potential as an individual. You will be buried in the graveyard full and not empty, because you chose to save your ammunition for a day where it's important right now, especially in the generation we're in, to be fearless, to be brave, to be able to do what others are not doing. Because the last time I checked, those who are on top are people who were daring, who were brave, people who didn't care what anybody said, who didn't answer back to the comments, the suggestions of people. And worse off in this generation we live, it's amazing how we are in a country and in a level of mindset where we belittle successful people, and we will never become great because of our lack of wanting to learn from those who've gone before us. So people, let's be brave, let's be courageous, because fortune only favors the brave.
All right, thank you so much. That was Hustle Hard. It is Capital 100.4 from Marare's Heartbeat. It's 1 o'clock and it's time for the news.